Do, 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 do. Hey. Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents 5 stars or better. That's right. This is Boom Boom here, sexy smile on all of Internet Wrestling Radio, along with my tag team partner in crime, the illustrious Dave Koco. He's joining us live from the outskirts of Tokyo, Japan, and we're on a quest, man. We're going to review all the matches ranked 5 stars or better by professional wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer. And this week, Coco, we have landed on, we're actually coming back to the United States for the first time since the Ric Flair Butch Reed match back in '82. We're now going to fast forward to
So, so
Valentine.
I
Yeah,
just want to
Valentine.
say, something. So Meltzer basically said, if it's not Japanese or Ric Flair, no stars for you.
Exactly at that time. From '82, and that was April 7th of '82. It wouldn't be until Valentine's Day of 1986 would another match in the United States receive a 5 star ranking from Dave Meltzer, and this was at Championship Wrestling from Florida, their Battle of the Belts 2 event. It was Ric Flair defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Barry Windham. So let me set the stage for you here. This was Ric Flair's fifth reign as champion. He had won it at a live event in Yokosuka, Japan. He had won it back from Kerry Von Erich, who he had dropped it to back in it was May 6th of '84. He picked up the championship 18 days later on May 24th, and he carried that belt from May 24th, '84 through this event here in '86. So he was going on almost almost 2 years. He would hold it about, not that these are spoilers now, but he would hold this until later in July of this year, but then quickly pick it back up and then drop it again. I mean, they were kind of they would have the champion have like long reigns, then drop it to like a baby face for like for a cup of coffee, and then the bad guy would pick it back up. I guess that was maybe Coco just to prove that the champ could lose it at any time to kind of give the fans some hope, because it wouldn't be, because otherwise it would be like LOL, Cena wins.
Yeah. Well, one, there's a lot of stuff I want to say about that. One, I love long title runs. B, the athletes back then earned the long title runs. This, people are like, oh man, the schedule's, grueling. Ric Flair wrestled almost every day of the week, and he traveled around and all that. And the world title really meant the world title. And not only that, but you can make a local baby face, because you got to remember NWA was territory days.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a local baby face, like, down in Florida, it's Barry Windham. Up in New York, it's, hot stuff Eddie Gilbert. Okay, don't quote me on that. I don't know the territories by heart right now. But you'd build up your guy. I'd be a promoter down in Florida. I'd build up a guy like Eddie Torres. And then Ric Flair would come by, and it was my job as a local promoter to convince the local fans that Eddie Torres could beat Ric Flair. And then Ric Flair comes in, and then he barely wins. But you know what I mean? And the thing is to be a champ, Ric Flair always had to have 5 stars or main event type matches almost every night, and he had to travel around the world. So it's a lot different than long title runs now. Now, yeah, I think it's a lot different. So, yeah, go ahead, Booms.
All right. Let me kind of set the stage for everybody, because this is something I didn't do in the Ric Flair Butch Reed video, but I needed to talk a little bit about, and again, this is providing context to the match here. This was Championship Wrestling from Florida, and I did not really go into that the last podcast that we did that had this promotion in it. This was originally founded by Cowboy Clarence Preston Lutherall. He was a wrestler. He actually fought in like a boxing match against Jack Dempsey once upon a time. But he opened the office in 1949. Eddie Graham, he actually bought in the promotion in 1961. He took over in 1971, and he would actually, and they would become a member of the National Wrestling Alliance, and Eddie Graham served his 2 terms as the NWA president. Now, it was good territory by all, by all practical purposes, but at this point now, Championship Wrestling from Florida was on the decline, not necessarily from an in-ring perspective, but from a financial perspective because Eddie Graham sadly took his own life in January of '85. He was suffering from a combination of some personal and business problems. One of those personal problems allegedly being alcoholism, and business problems being the time that when Vince McMahon was buying up the territories, and it was just like he's taking my stars here. I don't know if I can create all this, and it over was just too overwhelming. The responsibility at that time went to Hiro Matsuda and Duke Kiyomuka. They had been partners since the '60s, and then of course the people also remaining owners were his son Mike Graham, Eddie's brother Skip Gossett, Dusty Rhodes, and Buddy Colt. And so they were trying to keep trying to keep the promotion afloat, but it was hemorrhaging money. And so we go fast forward here to the Battle of the Belts 2, which took place on Valentine's Day, 1986. This was also the debut of what is known by wrestling fans as the Big Gold Belt. The NWA had been using the what is referred to as the Domed Globe, the belt that's actually being in use right now. But this was the big gold belt that was, you saw this on WCW. You would later see it Triple H hold it in on Raw back in I think '03. So that big gold belt, this is where it made its debut.
And that is by far to this day my favorite title. I mean, I really love the IWGP title, but that NWA Big Gold was the title of my childhood, and it meant a lot. And I saw something while looking this up. They were selling like a video package or something. It
Mhm.
was like the history of Big Gold, and then you got a jacket that said Battle of the Belts 2, and you got Big Gold and a DVD. It was pretty nice. I don't know if they're still selling it, but hell, I might look into that. But yeah, Big Gold was the title of my childhood, and to this day, when I think of a great championship, I think of that one. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Big Gold.
All right. Agreed. I think it's a very just aesthetically, just visually, just a very appealing looking championship. Now, I've already kind of set the stage here for Championship Wrestling from Florida. I've kind of set the stage for Ric Flair where he was in his career at this time. Now let's talk about his opponent here, Barry Windham. Now, Barry Windham is the son of Blackjack Mulligan, one half of the infamous tag team, the Blackjacks. He had Windham had debuted in 1979 against J.J. Dillon, and he was 19 at the time. And so this would put him around 26, 27, right around that time here. Now, he had already had a run in the WWF with his brother-in-law, Mike Rotunda, who you may better know as IRS. They had formed a tag team, prior in '84. It was it would later become the U.S. Express, and they would debut, and they would actually their music was Real American, which was the uh, intro song used by Hulk Hogan later. But they debuted in October of '84. They had uh, made an impact in the division. They beat Dick Murdoch and Adrian Adonis for their first ever WWF Tag Team Championships. And they would carry it, and they eventually would lose to the Dream Team. That was Greg Valentine and Bruce Beefcake in August of '85. So we're just about roughly 6 months removed from his last WWF run, and they were kind of bouncing around between the AWA um, and then working with the National Wrestling Alliance as a babyface. Okay, so now we've got the arena. We're down at Battle of the Belts. This was done in Orlando, Florida, at the Eddie Graham Sports Arena. Of course, Wyndham, Barry Windham is the babyface from Sweetwater, Texas. That out comes the champion, Ric Flair, wearing some emerald green tights, and he actually comes out to Easy Lover by Phil Collins. I don't know why I felt like mentioning this because I always thought he would use the theme from 2001: As a Space Odyssey as his just always as his intro music, but this time he just went with a Phil Collins song, and that just kind of caught me off guard there.
Maybe he was just trying for something different. It was, and that's like Okada's red hair or Okada doing anything new. Just like, yo, this ain't working, bro. Just stop.
Um,
You're not Jericho. You're not. You're not Muda. You're Rick Goddamn Flair. There you go.
so he got some, of course, he got the chorus of booze there, and it should also be noted, and of course, you'd have to be a real big nerd to know this little piece of trivia. So here it is. The referee for this match was Bill Alfonso.
Oh, trust me, I knew. I was super happy and excited because working in Florida, I got to meet Bill Alfonso. Our negotiations didn't go so well, but it was great to see him. Got to see him in NWA, and I've got to meet Mike Graham a bunch of times working down in Florida. So it was great to see people that you meet later on in life, seeing them so young.
Mhm. Well, and here we go, Dave. The bell rings. There's a little bit of a gentleman's handshake, and then they go to work. I think it started out with a really nice technical style. Barry Windham, trying to, doing some, starting out with basic headlocks, trying to best the champion. He was really dominating the early parts of that match, doing basically just like hammer locks, head scissors. Eventually, you know, he's really taken it to the champion. He goes up on offensive. Ric Flair finally starts making his comeback. He starts chopping the good guy. There was actually a decent spot early on, about almost 20 minutes into, well, 20 minutes in the video that we have here, where Barry Windham locked Ric Flair into the Boston Crab, and then there's just Flair, just milking it for all it's worth. Taking like the suplex, a octopus stretch. He finally has to throw Barry Windham out of the ring to kind of get a breather. Then he goes to work. He starts hammering on the forehead. Eventually, Barry Windham takes over, and then he locks Flair into his own submission hold, the figure four. And of course, he's just, the champ's reeling. By now, the baby face has been busted open by Flair's punches. But the babyface is not giving up. They're both on their knees chopping each other. Flair makes a comeback. He starts trying to wear down Wyndham with a head scissors. Again, he's going to work. Good guys making a comeback. They go to the outside. They come back in. They're just giving it to each other. Ric Flair goes for a sleeper hold to kind of slow the match down. They're both bleeding profusely at this point. Ric Flair's got the figure four locked on Barry Windham, and he's got his hands on the rope, but the referee doesn't see it. Absolutely beautiful, classic Ric Flair. They take it, they get back up. Again, the bad guy is just hammering on the good guy. There's some near falls with a pin. Like Wyndham gets a cover on Flair, but if Flair gets his foot to the rope, uh, they start rolling around on this mat, and then they do something really crazy late on this match. I think they went right around 40 minutes, but there was this one part towards the end of the match where Ric Flair is running and he's going for a cross body, and Wyndham catches him, falls backwards. They both tumble to the outside, and they hit the floor. The referee starts counting, and they start brawling on the outside. They're both trying to get him, but one will yank the other one back in. They'll brawl, and then the referee, Bill Alfonso, calls for the bell. It ended via a double count out, much to the chagrin of the audience. Who you see Wyndham start arguing with the referee. You see some trash being thrown into the ring. But despite the ending, Coco, I think it was a decent match.
And thinking the territory days, I'm okay with the ending. I really am okay with the ending. Just this was very common back in the day, and the quick start by Barry Windham was great. Seeing blood again, and the big thing that I get out of this match is that I think Meltzer and older pro wrestling fans don't enjoy WWE because everything's the same. Like I've been streaming lately, WWE Battlegrounds, and
Mm-hmm.
all the characters have the same moves. There's like 6 characters you can be, and then they just change the skin, you know. Like, so, they'll put Finn Balor in one of them. They'll put, so they basically are all the same wrestlers, except, so they got like 6 maybe less. So let's just say 4 wrestling types, and they just change the way the character looks, and you got to fit one of those 4 wrestling types. And people are like, oh, that's stupid about a video game. But I'm like, that's exactly what WWE is. That's the most accurate WWE game in the world, And the thing is, here, they just don't do everything the same. Like, I think that's what I really enjoy about old school wrestling, New Japan, and, these 5 stars. These guys are not perfect. And that's what makes them perfect. Do you know what I mean? The fact that, like, it starts off quick and then they work on stuff and they sell it and, them fighting for it, it just looks real. And WWE, they would have just rolled them in and went to a commercial, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ending because it was like they looked like they were both struggling, I enjoyed the fast pace. I enjoyed the work rate, the selling I really enjoyed. And I don't know if this is a good or bad, but when I was watching a match, I was comparing today's matches to yesteryear's matches. And it's so different. There's some things that are great about the past, and there's some things that are great, because like you're like, oh man, they're lucky they could do this. They could bleed, they can work a match. They don't have to be an exact same style. But here's the thing. They could have done that finish in 18 different territories that year, and no one would have known. Where, like, WWE, they have to all work the same. There's 4 or 5 models that you have to work as, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone sees it. So, like, this wasn't on national TV. This was on local television. So these guys could have the same match in Georgia, and people would still shit their pants, And it's weird because, just thinking out loud, these guys are more original. They're coming up with new ideas. They're coming up with, different ways and trying to make it realistic. And they could have used the same thing over and over and over. But now that it's on national worldwide television, they don't give a shit. They're like, oh, this happened last Monday. And they're like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So it's just different. I thought, like, it's lucky to be a wrestler today and it's lucky to be a wrestler back in the day for different reasons. But yeah, overall, I thought it was really great. And dude, it was great to see Ric Flair closer to his prime. This is probably prime Ric Flair. And still seeing the top the rope spot. I was like, did you pop for that? I fucking popped for it. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. And Booms, I'm going to give it to you because I know you're going to bring up some topics that we can talk about.
All right. So overall, I do think the match deserved 5 stars. Even though I was not thrilled about the finish, I understand why they did it. Because I mean, it was NWA formula. You build up the baby face, you have the baby face take on the champion, but the bad guy champion just found a way to just kind of weasel out of it at the end. So the good guy really didn't lose, so he doesn't look bad. The promotion doesn't look bad. Everybody still believes him. They kind of feel bad for him. It's like, oh, Barry, you had the champion beat. You had him beat. It's that darn referee who counted to 10 and counted you guys out. You had him on his knees begging for mercy. I mean, you had him busted open. But don't worry, man. You'll get him next time, boss. You'll get him next time. We believe in you, and then, maybe give him a push to go for the local territories championship. So I do think that the match holds up. And one thing I've kind of noticed about some of these matches that Meltzer is picking as 5 stars, I think they're really good right now with pacing. Like they pace it to where they pick it up, they bring it down, they pick it up, they bring it down. They kind of keep it mellow, then they pick it up, and it's getting more intense, getting more intense. They bring it down just for one more time, and then they hit the crescendo. They wrap up, they go to the finish, and it doesn't feel like that much. I mean, the video that we've found, which we're going to put down here in the links. This is the reason why we don't actually have like the video clips playing on this is because we're trying to avoid copyright strikes. But we provide you the link, and you can look at it for yourself and judge. But the video itself is like 50 minutes long, but it never felt that long, in my opinion, Coco. It never felt like I was, oh my God, look at my watch. How much time is left in this time limit here? I like, okay, where they, no, it just felt so smooth, so fluid. And that's one thing I'm noticing about some of these matches, great at pacing. So I think the matches hold up. And I think if this match was to be done today, I think people would be bummed out by the non-finish, but for the right reasons, because they wanted to see the clear finish. They wanted to see the good guy get the win over the bad guy, and maybe if they tune in next time or they get the next pay-per-view, that's when the good guy's going to get the win.
Yeah, and not only that, but it also wouldn't lose tickets. Like if you pull a Brock Lesnar during the territory days, let's say you go to Kofi Kingston's territory and you pull that, how the fuck is Kofi Kingston ever going to sell a ticket? Like Ric Flair, Ric Flair, or in this case Brock Lesnar goes to the next town, and then the town looks at Kofi going, "Yo, bro, for real, did you see that shit? You want us to watch this?" I think this match wouldn't happen today in
Hmm.
most federations. You got the bleeding, so that eliminates WWE. You have the slow pace, so that beats selling, so it kind of takes out AEW, TNA. And to do this type of match now, you'd have to have two really, really over people. And also, think, I don't think it goes over. I think like you have to have two great wrestlers. I think it goes over on like a Ring of Honor, like CM Punk, Samoa Joe. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Maybe it goes over on today's NWA, but it's so hard to say what today's NWA is. TNA, I think it just depends on the wrestlers. Um, WWE, I don't think it's not happening. It's just not happening. New Japan, not bad, but you have to be pretty over. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And yeah, I just think it would. I think it would be different. I think it
Yeah, I
would
don't
be
think it.
different.
I don't. I agree with you on all those points except for the New Japan. I don't think it would go over New Japan because it ends in a double count out, and they tend to not do those or disqualifications. So I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion.
Well, and also like back in the day they did a double countout and they didn't know if that match wasn't going to happen. If you did a double countout in New Japan and they didn't know that rematch was going to happen, they would probably just
Mhm.
watch another product. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a special moment. I don't know if it could go. It could still do it. You definitely couldn't go from territory to territory with this match. Not with the international flavor. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a great moment in time. 5 star, 5 stars. I agree. Would it be 5 stars today? It really would have to depend on the athletes and the promotion. So, and also I think commentary matters. They didn't. Mike Graham did a great job. It just always felt real. And all that, but they put over the moves. I think it only gets 5 stars depending on the wrestlers and the promotion. I think that's fair.
Mhm.
All right, Booms. Anything else you want to say, brother?
Well, following this would be basically the last gasp for Championship Wrestling from Florida. This was the
That's
last ever match with Championship Wrestling from Florida to get a 5-star ranking because the promotion would close the next February in 1987 and merge with Jim Crockett Promotions. Now, by that time, most of the talent had either gone to Jim Crockett Promotions or had signed with WWE, with the then WWF. Um, I don't want to go too much more on what's going to happen with Barry Windham because these two actually did have another match together that was listed as 5 stars or better. However, it was again with Jim Crockett Promotions. We're going to get to that a little bit later. However, we're going to have to go through a tag match at Jim Crockett Promotions. We're going to have the Fantastics versus the Sheep Herders. As far as Championship Wrestling from Florida, Mike Graham tried to return to promoting, but the rights had been basically somebody else had got the rights to the name Championship Wrestling from Florida, and so he had used Florida Championship Wrestling, which is remember that sounds maybe familiar here. Not to get too grim, but the tragedy just would not stop for the Graham family. As I mentioned, Eddie Graham committed suicide in January of '85. Eddie Graham's grandson took his own life in December of 2010, and then Mike Graham took his own life at his home in Daytona Beach in October of 2012. So it's the reason I bring that up is just because like you see with the Von Erich family and all that, a lot of the suicide just for a weird like it's like a weird disease, if you will, even though it's not like something like flu where you can pass it from one person to another. But it still kind of runs in families and goes through there, and your risks run a little bit high. And I will just, and I'm not going to try to lecture people, but I would just say, suicide doesn't really solve any problems. It just takes the pain that you're feeling and it just distributes that out to other people, particularly like your family and your close friends. So if you're ever feeling like, down and you just need to talk to somebody, there's somebody available 24 hours a day at the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number for that is 1-800 273 8255. And I'm going to say it one more time here. Again, if you just need somebody to talk to, and sometimes, you would be amazed at how well that does you. Call 1-800 273 8255 and just, don't do anything rash. Just talk to somebody. Maybe y'all can hash something out. But that's the reason why I wanted to, because I just didn't want to mention the suicides just for, just to be grim or be an asshole, but to say that, there's help you can get, and don't, don't let that get the best of you, and certainly don't let that consume your life. So, Coco, I don't want to end this on a downer note, so I'm not going to.
All right.
As I mentioned, we've got several more. We've got a couple more matches. We're going to go to Jim Crockett Promotions, where we're going to do the Crockett Cup, where the Fantastics clash with the Sheep Herders, and then Ric Flair and Barry Windham tied it up again, but this time then almost a year later in January of '87 at Worldwide Wrestling. So those are the next couple of matches we got on tap here for 5 stars or better. I'm actually looking forward to the Jim Crockett Promotions era because they technically, even though it was like Georgia Championship Wrestling, technically they really didn't have a name, and that's why they were referred to just by fans as just the NWA.
Yeah. And the thing is, Ric Flair is known as one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time. I think he's in everyone's top 5 list, if not number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Barry Windham should be remembered more throughout history. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I was a huge fan of Barry Windham, and I'm glad we get to watch his matches and have a reason to do it and relive some great memories. So, thanks as always, and yeah, I think that's it. Booms, plug some stuff. We'll do the I am over. We'll high five our way out, and then let's have a bonus thing so people make it through the club. The plugs. Let's see. What will be the bonus thing? I'll think of something amazing when Boom Boom talks. Boom Boom, hot tag to you.
All right, so here's the obligatory things we have to plug. First of all, if you like Dave Coco's diatribes, you can read it now because if you go to davecoco.com, he's got his book Operation Freak Show, not for the faint of heart. But he's also got a lighter book out, believe it or not. He goes like he's kind of confusing. He's like a guy who writes like a horror story and then turns around and writes like a kid's cartoon. I mean, trust me, it's classic Dave Coco. He's got a novel coming out called Lucky the Orphan. And the reason I know that is because, well, I had to write the forward for it. I was like, Coco. He's like, Booms, can you write the forward, just kind of like write the description for it? I was like, sure. I was like, the book is called Lucky the Orphan. I said, okay, what's it about, Coco? And he goes, well, it's about this orphan, and his name is Lucky. I am not making that up. That's what he told me. I was like,
man, you nailed it. You nailed it right there.
I was like Coco, okay, I know his name. I know what his status is, but I know that is real good. But I need to know a little bit more about the novel. Always trying to get any.
I promote my books. I promote my books the way ECW promoted pay-per-views. Be there. Go on.
Pretty much. So, You got that. You can get Loser in Japan, merch, which is a segue into his Twitch channel, which is Twitch TV /KocoSports, KOCO Sports. He plays NHL hockey. I think he's got his NHL 21 on
Finally,
pre-order
it took
pre-order
forever to
right
get it
now.
here in Japan.
He also plays Fall Guys, but he can never make it past Slime Climb in team games. He also plays NBA. I think it's a 2K20. He also plays Madden every now and then, and he plays what was the WWF game excuse me, WWE game you play?
Battlegrounds.
Yeah, Battlegrounds, where he's got his own character, Sexy Yama Handsome. Yes, that's a real character. If you want to find out why he's called that, go look up his other YouTube page called Awkward in Japan, where he shares stories that are animated, kind of like WWE story time, but entertaining.
Ouch.
Um, and then, of course, you can find both me and Koco on KocoSports.com, KOCO Sports. It's their home for combat sports, where the world goes to kick ass, and most importantly, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. Um, Be sure to like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up and hit that notification bell. Our notifications I've noticed, Coco, really aren't going out as well.
Dude,
So
YouTube hates everyone.
yeah, so I try.
If you're not a billion dollar, listen, if they're not a $1 billion industry, if it's not UFC, if it's not WWE, support those YouTube channels. If you don't even want to support us, support the YouTube channels, because idiots like us, Wrestling Ranton, LK, just anyone that doesn't make millions of dollars, they're gonna find any reason to eliminate us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know it sounds weird because the internet is supposed to be where small people can battle, but, it's not that way anymore. You never thought that YouTube channels would have to do mom and pop type marketing, but they do not care about us, and they do not care about your favorite YouTuber. Hell, if they don't care about PewDiePie, who the hell do they care about? They just care about giant corporations, and it's going to destroy and kill tons. So support your local YouTuber. Times are tough. But yeah. Did you ever think it would be like mom and pop type ads? Because remember, like back in the day, you'd be like, "Well, I'm a mom and pop. You buy your grits from mom and pops." Now it'd be like, dude, like basically, if they're not a $1 billion industry, fucking support them, because YouTube's fucking getting rid of us. Speaking
Yes.
of Wrestling Ranton lost his channel, so please follow Wrestling Ranton on Twitter and also on Podbean. Hopefully something good will happen on this platform. Me and Boom Booms will keep trucking along, but what's the over-under that we're going next?
I don't know.
I mean, we don't really update enough, so maybe they don't
Yeah.
even know. You're not getting any alerts. So please, go out of your way to find us, because you're not getting these alerts. You're not getting these videos. If you found this, just type in YTX. I don't know what the X stands for YouTube sucks. Because, man, it's just a matter of time. That's it. It's a matter of time. So support us. Check out Dave Koco. Check out the others. And, yeah. It's weird because, like, on YouTube used to be guerrilla marketing, and now you have to do guerrilla marketing to get to the guerrilla marketing. And it's like, all right, we had fun. Thank you, small guys, for building it up. Now let ABC, NBC, and the rest take over. Booms, let's sit on a brighter light. Tell us one good thing that happened today.
One good thing that happened to me, I woke up, got my cup of coffee, and I've got some good things going on in my personal life right now that I can't really say what it is right now, but I've got some big changes, some good changes coming, some positive changes coming, some positive changes.
Nice.
This was around the corner.
I've worked out for a week, and I was in shape 2 years ago. Dude, when you're old, you get weak so fast. I was going to the gym twice a day, and I felt amazing. I took like a year off and some, couple of fucking staying in the house and playing video games, and now I'm so weak all over again. It's insane. And I got NHL 21, and that was a huge, huge fuss. And I'm streaming on Twitch. Booms, I hope the good news means you're coming to Yokohama. go Yokohama Grits. And if it's not that, I'm still proud of you, okay? It would be great if you got a job in Yokohama, but you know what? It's okay. All right, we probably should end this show 20 minutes ago.
Yes, we should have.
This is old school Koco Sports. Not sure when to end the show. Let's end it right now. With that, I am over. Ba-na-na-na-na-na.